Welcome to the Sportscast. October 15th, 2018. Last night, the Patriots defeated or scraped through against a juggernaut of the Kansas City Chiefs last night, 43-40. People were wondering, could this game decide the AFC? Could this have a better indicator? And also, we could find out if the Patriots are back. Are the normal Patriots back? Anyways, to speak about this game and sports, it's Ryan Christa. Welcome to the Sportscast.
Santiago, it's good to be back. Good to be back and doing some sports casting with you. What a game last night, Santiago. What a game.
What a game, Ryan.
The NFL.
Was this game, has it answered your questions about where the Patriots are and are they the best in the AFC?
Santiago, it wasn't very long ago when they were saying this is not going to be the Patriots here on Sunday Night Football against the Lions when they looked absolutely awful. Couldn't move the ball. They couldn't stop the Lions. And then last night, their defense didn't play amazing, but who does against Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense? But, they got enough stops early enough in the game and made enough key plays to give Tom Brady a chance to win at the end.
Patrick Mahomes had 352 yards. Tom Brady had 340. Tony Michel had 106. And Kareem Hunt had 80. The Patriots in the first half were up 24 to 9. And then the Chiefs took over like the second half. What?
Yeah. I don't think the Chiefs played bad in the first half in the sense that they had plays there to be made. They just weren't making them. But then in the second half, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is too much energy or it's not, didn't have his A game, but he definitely brought it in the second half, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then, towards the game, once the Chiefs tied it, Tom Brady had a deep pass to Gronkowski. And then the very last second field goal by Gronkowski. How do you see the Patriots? Do you think they're back? Do you think they're their normal selves? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where the Patriots. I hate to say they're back because I don't know where they've gone because they're defending AFC champion. We say that every year because every year they make these weird roster moves. They maybe start slow and we're like, oh, this is the year, and then all of a sudden there's just that time in the season, where they just all of a sudden, whether it was against the Colts a couple weeks ago, they just turned it up, and you're like, uh-oh, their team isn't going anywhere. But to say they're back is tough for me because I don't know where they've gone. But they're back to being Super Bowl champions. Time will tell. But they're definitely. I think we saw the two best, definitely AFC teams last night, and hopefully we'll see a matchup like that in late January.
Tom Brady has a record against AFC teams at home, 58-2, according to our comments. So Kansas City has beaten New England before.
It was quite a night of sports. Red Sox and Houston Astros game on side by side with the Patriots and Chiefs. Thank goodness the technology allows us to watch two games at one time now.
There you go. And another games that happened yesterday was a real shocker. Was the Cowboys defeating the Jaguars 40-7. I thought Jaguars were in the top three of the AFC, but they didn't show it last night.
Where are the Jaguars' defense of last year gone? 37 points to arguably one of the worst offenses in the league this year. It's not, that was definitely surprising. It wasn't surprising the Cowboys won, but the manner they beat the Jaguars and was quite surprising. And
do you think?
I know we talk a lot about the Jaguars defense, but the Dallas defense this year is one of the most improved units I've seen out there.
Do you think the absence of Fournette is causing, the Jaguars' lack of confidence?
Yeah, I mean, he was a big part of their team. This is a run for his team, and don't have a bow call. It does make a difference because their biggest defenses are offense sometimes too at the time of possession. They're just not getting those. T.J. Yeldon for the most part is having a pretty good year in the absence of Leonard Fournette, but he doesn't have that same bulldozing mentality that Leonard Fournette brings to the team.
We have some breaking news. The Buccaneers fired defensive coordinator Mike Smith. The Bucs players were informed the team is making a change at defensive coordinator. Was that a necessary change?
Absolutely, Santiago. They are dreadful on the defensive side of the ball. This team won a couple of games earlier in the year with a little Fitzmagic, scoring 40-plus points, but you can't depend on that each and every week. There's really no sign of improvement on this team. They're kind of, their defense was kind of embarrassed on national TV a couple weeks ago against the Steelers. But I think as long as the offense is still producing, that the team has a chance to win some games and maybe make a run at the playoffs. So it's kind of a last resort to saving the season kind of move.
Which yesterday they lost against the Falcons 35-29. It was a pretty gunslinger game, definitely high scoring, and we're seeing we're seeing James Winston coming back into the groove. Yeah,
isn't won very much, but he's definitely putting in good numbers, especially this week. Hopefully he'll be able to get some better play on the defensive side of the ball. So 29 points is going to keep you in the game instead of not being on the short side of it. Because they definitely have firepower in offense. Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson, Peyton Barber, those are quality NFL weapons that the Bucs have, along with Jameis Winston. They can just get some good defensive play. This team will be, I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they'll definitely break some teams' hearts towards the end of this year.
And we've seen there was a lot of good games yesterday, and one of them was the Rams and Broncos. The Rams was leading most of the game, but the Broncos almost came back.
Yeah, it was final 23-20. It's 20-3, towards the end of the third quarter, and the Rams had an unlucky break on an interception that kind of gave the Broncos life. But, the score maybe not as close as the game was to the Broncos scored about 1 minute left and weren't able to get the onside kick. But, this game was won on the ground by Todd Gurley. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was able really to keep the Broncos offense off the field, and were able to convert on some critical third downs to really ice the game for the Rams.
Which for the one positive note of the Broncos, it did give some confidence to Case Keenum. It felt like he was, he definitely had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game. I wouldn't say a great game, and there's some throws in the first half that he needs to convert. Again, he made some good throws in the fourth quarter to keep us in the game, but he's got to start making those throws for 60 minutes, not just in the fourth quarter. He did a lot of the same a couple weeks ago against the Raiders when we won a game, but there's just way too much inconsistency on the Broncos' offense right now. There's a lot of pushing the stands to give Chad Kelly a shot here at quarterback for the Broncos.
And lastly, one game that I need to talk to you about is the Bears and Dolphins. Bears was leading most of the game, but Dolphins came back and put the game into overtime and won it by a field goal.
Brock Osweiler, where have you been?
Former Bronco.
Ryan Tannehill, a late scratch to the game. Brock Osweiler comes in and saves the day for the Dolphins. What a good win for the Fins there down in South Florida against a very good Bears team. And to do it against, I think, one of the best defenses in the league, the Khalil Mack-led Bears, that was quite an accomplishment for Brock Osweiler to get that win there yesterday. But, I think the Bears, 3rd and 5 for the Bears, at the 33-yard line, and they kind of go conservative in overtime, led to a long field goal that was missed. To me, that was the key, You can't settle for those long field goals in overtime, because if you miss them, but, a couple first downs and the Dolphins are kicking the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, you just can't miss them in overtime. You think Brock should start like the next game?
I think Ryan Tannehill's still the most consistent quarterback on that roster, but that's what you need to expect a quarterback to come in, though. When he's needed to come and play, not to miss a beat, but when they're 16-game season, I still think Ryan Tannehill is the best option right now for the Dolphins. Maybe not for the long term. That's up to management to decide, but for right now, I still think it's Ryan Tannehill's team.
Yeah, you're right. I think he had an issue with his shoulder yesterday, but we'll see what happens this upcoming week when Miami Dolphins will play against the Lions in Miami. So that should be a good, interesting game. They're pretty paired up, I think. But let's go into college. Yeah, go ahead.
The Bears and Lions are about equal. So the Bears and Lions are about equal in talent level right now. Close to it. So that's about the whole NFC North, though. There's no amazing teams, but there's no awful teams. They're all pretty good.
And let's segue towards college football. The rankings came out yesterday. Alabama first, then Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Michigan, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, UCF. What I see is Notre Dame went up one place. LSU went up 8 spots. They were 13th last week. What are your thoughts over the table?
That was, what a wacky week this week in college football. A lot of upsets. It's always when you least expect it. College football always delivers you with some crazy games to kind of keep you on your toes. That's the one thing one thing you never control, and that's college athletics, that's for sure. There's nothing for me to really argue with the rankings. LSU with a big home victory against a very good Georgia Bulldog team. And they didn't just beat them, they whooped them. They beat them in their own running game. They're a very dominating, team. So they definitely deserve to go move up those 8 spots, which kind of sets up, they got a game against Mississippi State this week. If they're able to win that, that sets up a pretty in Death Valley in a couple weeks against Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting that game in Baton Rouge. Now there's more pressure on Alabama now that LSU is back in the game. You think Alabama? I mean, that game is going to define a lot. But even if Alabama loses, I mean, they're still in the running.
Oh, of course. It's that. It's only been out of the last 3 playoff years, only 1 or 3 teams that have been undefeated going into the playoffs. So that just leads you to believe that you don't have to be perfect to make the playoffs. That's your whole body of work that's going to define, the 4 teams that make the playoffs. But that, LSU was already a loss of 4. They can't afford it. So they will be hungry to get that victory. And we don't know about what the extent of Tua Tagovailoa's knee injury. They suffered, a couple weeks ago, and then kind of re-aggravated that injury last week against Missouri.
And Florida pulled out a win against Vanderbilt. That was close, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were down 21-3. It seems like every bounce that could go Vanderbilt's way in the first half definitely went their way. But the Gators stayed on track, stayed focused, and really took the game in the second half to Vanderbilt. It kind of showed where the difference between Vanderbilt and the rest of the teams in the SEC, and that's just they lack the depth and the talent beyond their first string.
Yeah, and and also Florida's ranked number 11th, so they're definitely. I'm not sure if they're in the running, but I guess if they can make it to the ACC championship and beat Clemson, then perhaps they might have a chance.
Well, they're in the SEC, but
SEC, my bad.
It's okay.
They got to beat Georgia.
In the SEC, yeah, they got SEC. They got to beat Georgia here in a couple weeks, and this is not good. This is not the best Florida football team they've had. This is a rebuilding team under Dan Mullen. They're just playing really hard, and they're kind of fun to watch as a Gator fan. Refreshing after the couple of years we had with Jim McElway.
Yeah, things are different. The spirit at FSU is definitely much better than it has before. So there's some promising times. It might not happen this year, but maybe next year they might be in the running. So we'll see what happens with the old Gators. And are you ready for predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Michigan State at Michigan.
Wow, Michigan State, one of those crazy games we had last week was Michigan State beating Penn State on the road, setting up a big home matchup against the in-state rival Wolverines, who thumped Wisconsin pretty bad at home this week. But Jim Harbaugh has had his trouble against Antonio. I'm going to lean towards Michigan, more talent. But I think this is a game that definitely comes down to the fourth quarter for sure.
And Michigan has to win that game in order to stay in the running.
MSU is probably already out with 2 losses, but they're definitely maybe in the running for the Big Ten East.
Alabama at Tennessee.
Has it been 16, 17 years since Tennessee beat Alabama? They just beat Auburn on the road last week. They're feeling good about themselves. Alabama's Alabama, and I think they will crush the Volunteers on the road this week by at least 3 touchdowns.
Pivotal game, NC State at Clemson.
Big matchup. NC State undefeated, but really hasn't played anybody of significance this year. First test. Still, there's a lot of questions about Clemson in their quarterback situation since Kelly Bryant left. This will definitely be a tough matchup for Clemson, but I do think their talent is far superior over NC State, and they will win this game.
Mississippi State at LSU.
I talked a little bit about this game. LSU coming off a big victory over Georgia. How they're going to be able to respond. They have a big game coming up against Alabama in a couple weeks. This is definitely a trap game, but if all things are even, they should win this game pretty handily against the Bulldogs.
You think LSU has what it takes to go all the way?
They got the defense. They got the toughness. I don't think they just have not enough playmakers to win, but they definitely played hard, and they got a lot of intangibles, but they kind of just lack that star-studded player.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with LSU. They're having a great season so far. Just 1 loss against Florida. You're Florida, so we'll see where it goes. Oregon at Washington State.
I warned Tom Turner about this a couple weeks ago. Said if you get past Washington, beware of this trap game against Washington State. The pirate of the blue is Mr. Mike Leach leading his Cougars air raid offense. I am going to call for the upset this week with quarterback Gardner Minshew shredding up the Ducks defense, where I think they're going to win by at least 2 scores.
Wow, Washington State wins, you're saying?
Yeah, I think they're, do they have the athletes Oregon has? Absolutely not. But this is a team that's gone through a lot of hardships. If you remember, this summer they had their starting quarterback die suddenly for a suicide. So this team is, they bonded together. They got a lot of great resolve, and I think, they've lost 3 points to USC on the road earlier this year. But I think this team at home will rally together. I think they get a big victory.
Wow. Interesting case. And for tonight, NFL, the 49ers at the Green Bay Packers.
As long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I think they win this game. But, 49ers, obviously without Jimmy Garoppolo, they got C.J. Beathard at quarterback. They're going to play hard. I think this is going to be a fairly close game, but I'll go with the Packers in the end.
There you go. Packers win it. And who are your top 3 college football quarterbacks right now?
Right now, I will go with Tua Tagovailoa. I will go with Dwayne Haskins, and I will go with Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. And who's your honorable mention?
Honorable mention. Well, going into this week, I would have said Mr. Will Greer, but he got lit up by the Iowa State Cyclones this week. I'm gonna go. This is my guy I talked about just a few minutes ago, and that's Gardner Minshew of Washington State.
Okay. And will Jimmy Butler go to the Miami Heat?
Not anytime soon. You will be seeing him lacing up for the Timberwolves this week, at least to start this season.
And how can people reach you, Ryan?
Probably best by Twitter, Mad Dog Report 18. Always posting about my the Gators and Liberty Flames Athletics.
That's right, and Liberty pulled off a great win against Troy.
Oh, best home victory in school history, Santiago. We're FBS ready.
There you go. Ryan Christa, Liberty fanatic, Sports Center, I calls him. He watches every sport but boxing. Is that true?
I do not like boxing, that's for sure. I'm a team sport guy.
He can watch the Ryder Cup, he can watch the World Cup, but not boxing. Anyways, there you have it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and if you're on iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. Ryan Christa, thanks for coming back to the Sportscast. Your knowledge is so necessary.
All right, thanks, Santiago. Have a good day, everybody. Love you, Mindy. Bye-bye.